We have a first Sunday Dharma talk. So that will be from 10:30 to about maybe 10:55 Central Time. And then from 11 to 12 Central Time, 11 to probably actually 11:50 Central Time, we'll have a meditation that I will lead. And then from 12 noon to 12:45, we have the Dharma conversation. It will just be, I'll bring forward a theme that probably will emerge from the teaching this morning. And there's an opportunity, depending, we'll either have small breakout rooms of about 3 per person, or if the community is small enough, we might just have 5 or 6 people talking together about the theme. We'll just see. But for now, it's a teaching. The 3 words that I want to focus on this morning are clarity, appreciation, and tenderness. And these are for sure qualities that we develop in meditation: clarity, appreciation, and tenderness. We are bringing our attention, when we're meditating on the breath, to our breathing. We don't set about to appreciate our breath, but I think during the process of cultivating mindfulness of the breathing, we just very, very naturally come to an appreciation of the process. And with that appreciation as well, there is a tenderness. I think those are very, very significant qualities to be cultivating, to be experiencing, to be bringing to our path of spiritual development. They're related to, Tibetan Buddhism will talk of 3 main aspects of Buddhahood: wisdom, tenderness, and capacity. In Tibetan, it's Ken Tse Nuba. Ken Tse Nuba. Ken is knowingness. Tse is tenderness, and Nuba is ability. So clarity is related to knowing, and tenderness is, of course, related to tenderness. And Nuba is what results and is part of our capacity when we're developing clarity and tenderness and appreciation. So there are some things that came up in a recent conference on the future of American Buddhism. 2 of our members, 1 board member and our interim executive director, went. In particular, I'm citing, there was a session on the BIPOC meditation Sangha. BIPOC stands for Black, Indigenous, People of Color. And there was a presentation by a woman named Kyra Jewel Lingo, who was active in Plum Village, in the Plum Village tradition. And I'll say some things that came forward from her as a basis for this talk. On, I guess at this point, it's 2 weeks ago, Dharma Explorations, Mark Urowitz presented on the wonders of the present moment. And one of the things he mentioned was an incident with a client who was meditating and was involved with space. and thought that they were meditating on space and were kind of content with that. And then Mark got into a fine-tuning conversation with him about meditation and really encouraged him to get into really careful observation of his experience. Mark, you're coming on just as I'm citing you. I hope you can hear this. Can you hear me? I'm citing the story you told about your client with space. And so as the client moved from his experience of space, which was just a kind of, we could call it a whiteout, you know, kind of being in a snowstorm where you can't see anything, feel anything. It's just like, bleh, to Mark encouraging to really sense into his experience. It was a little bit daunting. And so what was perhaps occurring, you know, I didn't know the person, I didn't talk with them, but we have a phrase nowadays that we use in the meditation sphere. It's called spiritual bypass. Sometimes people use spirituality to just numb out. And sometimes that's what people need. I mean, they just need a kind of a break. And that may be what's important for a time. But to the extent of we're talking about clarity, tenderness, and appreciation, there is a way in which cultivating clarity, tenderness, and appreciation can bring a different kind of spaciousness, a different kind of calming that's not just whitewash, just not whitewashing everything. It's grounded in something deeper, something more like a true expansiveness of deep space itself. It's grounded in clarity. There was a quote brought up in this meeting on the future of American Buddhism by the teacher named Kyra Jewel Lingo. She was citing Howard Thurman, who was an African-American theologian, mystic. And there are two quotes that were very, very juicy. The frame quote is that there is something in every one of you that waits and listens for the sound of the genuine in yourself. It is the only true guide you will ever have. And if you cannot hear it, you will all of your life spend your days on the ends of swings that somebody else pulls. There is something in every one of you that waits and listens for the sound of the genuine in yourself. It is the only true guide you will ever have. And if you cannot hear it, you will all of your life spend your days on the ends of swings that somebody else pulls. It's such a beautiful, powerful set of thoughts that we all have within us something that is genuine, that we can touch into. And that absent that, we're living life, as it were, being swung by other individuals, pushed on a swing by other things and other individuals. I think for anyone who is on this Zoom this morning, there is an inherent pull, like a moth to a flame, to certain topics, to certain themes, to certain interests that are oriented towards our genuineness. It's a kind of intrinsic guiding light that we feel. You know, sometimes we're called upon to define spirituality. And I think that it may not be enough to say, but I think it's very, very significant to say that part of spirituality is being oriented towards that which is genuine within us. The longing for the genuine. You know, it's interesting, there's a Buddhism went to Tibet and they had to translate everything in Sanskrit to Tibetan. And in the process, some of the things were relatively straightforward and kind of easy. But sometimes they did certain things in the translation that indicated that they'd given a lot of thought to the meaning of the word, and the translation that they came up with is sometimes very, very rich. So in modern English, we're all familiar with the word yoga. It is, in fact, cognate to the English word yoke. Those of I didn't know this, but actually the languages of India, many of the main languages of India and the main languages of the Western world are all kissing cousins. They're all Indo-European languages. So in Sanskrit, hasta, in Hindi, hata, danta, for tooth in Sanskrit, danta. Cow is go. Just goes on and on. But the Indo-European roots are shared. So yoga and yoke. So yoga as a yoke is something that kind of, it does two things. It both holds you back and holds you down, but it also connects you. The yoke connects a beast of burden to a carriage. And so yoga, the discipline, is something that is a restraint, a holding, but it also is a conjoining with spiritual reality. It's a very interesting word. So when they translated it in Tibetan, they translated it as Nel Jor. And Jor means connect. So that's the connecting part of the yoke. But Nel is a very interesting word. It means the authentic, the real. There are a lot of interesting words in Tibetan Buddhism, which are very, very clear and very, very oriented towards, let's say, the teachings of Dzogchen, reality, the sphere of reality. So reality is Chunyi or Dharmata, the sphere of reality, Dharmadhatu. So there are clear words for kind of the ultimate. But to say something is genuine is, it's actually a kind of experiential term. And so yoga gets translated as Nel Jor. And this word Nell appears in the teachings on Dzogchen as a phrase that is talking about meditative progress where you're connected to that which is authentic, real. We're not going into practice to whitewash reality. We're trying to taste and feel something that's more real, closer to the dynamism of reality, closer to the vivacity of reality, the depth of reality. And the three phrases we're talking about are clarity, tenderness, and appreciation. Meditation is a means of creating clarity, tenderness, and appreciation so that we can be closer to that which is authentic. So there was another quote that I very much appreciated for Howard Thurman from Kyra Jewel Lingo. She read it from Howard Thurman. Eventually, I discovered that the oak tree and I had a unique relationship. I could sit my back against its trunk and feel the same peace that would come to me in my bed at night. I could reach down in the quiet places of my spirit, take out my bruises and my joys, unfold them and talk about them. I could talk aloud to the oak tree and know that I was understood. It too was part of my reality, like the woods, the night, and the pounding surf, my earliest companions, giving me space. So this is a different kind of space than a space which is just a whitewash. This is a space that holds the details of experience. And one of the themes that we keep trying to bring forward is that there are experiences of deep, profound spaciousness that can be part of our spiritual path. And they're very, very important and very, very profound. And within that kind of deepening, appreciative, quieting, there comes the capacity for appreciating every particle of reality. Every movement is appreciated and held with clarity and tenderness and appreciation. So the kind of dynamism of our minds being capable of more spaciousness, a broadening, a kind of peacening, more peacefulness, but within that, being able to just notice every shooting star and not be afflicted by it, not find the shooting stars of life to be upsetting, but to be contained and held with tenderness and appreciation. And meditation is a kind of boot camp for this kind of attitude to be developed towards our experience. We meditate to develop skills that we can bring to our lives out of meditation, where we are quieter, we are more sensitive, we're more appreciative of every little particle of change that occurs to us. So part of the process of what we're doing when we're meditating is we're clearly looking, we're seeing things. And one of the other things that we certainly encourage all of our students to do is to then be sensitive to, how does this affect us? How does this affect us? We seek inside to really be sensitive to the impact of what is it like to follow our breath carefully, be in tune with it sensitively. Many people, and I would have included myself early on, sort of run to meditation as almost an escape from experience. They want to go into a kind of whiteout. Things are too difficult. I want white. I want just blankness. And maybe occasionally we have moments when we're meditating when things actually quiet down, and it's okay. But part of what we are cultivating is both seeing things in the moment clearly, like the breath, and then really fully accounting for, how does this impact us? What is the genuine in our experience when we have meditated? We are holding ourselves in a different manner with appreciation, tenderness, and clarity. So when we meditate, there's a kind of oscillation that we engage in of doing something focused, doing something effortful. Don't want to be too tight. We apply our attention to our experience, and we are trying to be clear and appreciative and tender. And we see how that practice itself affects us. And how does it affect our capacities when we're outside of meditation? Do we have that kind of spaciousness that would allow us to sit back and be with ourselves, to be with our joys, to be with our pains, to recognize that life is a panoply of diverse instrumental music occurring in every which way? And can we develop an appreciation of every moment of it, both in ourselves and those with whom we come in contact? We're not cultivating meditation to absent ourselves from experience, but really to develop a capacity for relish, a relish of our own and others, which is neither clinging nor pushing away, but just a very, very balanced appreciation that includes, ideally, and closer familiarity with that which is genuine within us. So I think for all of us, I'll allow for a 5-minute break between now and our meditation. Some people may need to stretch or use the facilities, and some people may come on, some people may come off, but in about 5 minutes, we'll start our morning meditation for Sunday. Thank you for being here.